Blessings, blessings, and blessings. And welcome. Today is Tuesday. Think About It Tuesday. I just want y'all to know that Think About It Tuesday, today we're going to be teaching and talking, and we have some awesome women that's going to be on the show with me today. A mama to be. Hey, I can't wait. I'm telling her, she ain't telling me. I'm telling her, I am the official godfather. Yeah. Uh, but I'm excited. But let me just say a couple of announcements. I do want to say, first of all, this is a pre-recorded show. So Rustin, Stacy, no pine cone comments because we will not be responding. This is pre-recorded. All right. So we still need volunteers to help out with the Brewers game. If you would love to help out in one or two games, or you got a group that you would like to help raise money for, then give us a call at 414-676-0842. That's 414-676-0842. Or 414-899-2688. That's 414-899-2688. Men and women of God, we have a men and women fellowship breakfast May the 4th at El Greco's Family Restaurant, 9143 West Appleton Avenue at 8 a.m. Please give us a call at 414-676-0842 to let us know that you want to come. We have to give a count to the restaurant to know how many people are going to be there. So that's 414-676-0842. That's 414-676-0842. And let me just finish up the announcements. One second. I had a little technical problem, and I blame Amber for that one. All right, King for Mayor 2024. And we're asking, our goal is to get 5,000 people to just donate $24 for our race, for the mayoral race here in the city of Milwaukee. Milwaukee needs a lot of help. And the only way they get that help is we got new leadership, true leadership. So please be a part of King for Mayor. Just go to kingformayor.net. I will be putting up the website all through the show today. But go to kingformayor.net and just donate $24. 24 for 2024. And then May the 2nd through the 4th, there will be Kingdom Teaching, sponsored by the Gathering of Kingdom Colonies. We're going to be at Latter Rain Multicultural Church, 4858 West Fond du Lac Avenue, where the host pastor is Bishop Renee Prophet. That's 414. Give us a call at 414-676-0842. Join us next week, May the 2nd through the 4th. It's going to be awesome teaching on the kingdom of God, and yours truly, Dr. David King, will be the speaker all 3 nights. Now, let us bring on the mother-to-be, the constitutional queen, a.k.a. Abigail, Miss Sarah.
Hello. Good morning.
Constitutional mama.
Yep,
But
number
wait.
6 is on the way.
Number 6 is on the way. But wait, there's more. We have a young lady who's coming in to help us out. She loved the Constitution. She loved being a PMA. She loved being a troublemaker. And she goes by the name of Mercy. Let's welcome, a.k.a. Amber.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Trouble.
I think he gets more excited every time he does those intros.
And
I know, right?
It fits me pretty well to a T.
Yeah.
So how you ladies doing today?
Good.
Little chilly. Our furnace motor went out, so we've been sitting in a cold house for the last few days.
I don't remember getting a call, by the way.
We've been holding off because it's expensive, and we just refilled our emergency fund. So I will give you a chat afterwards. I was just thinking about that today. I'm like, I'm wondering if we can maybe get something fixed. we were trying to tough it out, but I guess I'm not gonna...
especially this time of year.
No, it's like it's just at that time we do need the motors blown, so we do need it fixed. But it's like, we're coming to the end of the cold season, and it seems kind of silly to do it now.
Yep, totally get it. You are not alone. We actually have one of our people going up to pick up a new furnace because with the flooding, it shorted out the board and one of the motors. Thankfully, their insurance is covering it, but that kind of stuff happens every year, and it's just like, you hate to make an emergency thing, but it still gets chilly.
Yeah, just a bit. And we've been managing. Luke sets the fire every day, and we've got that going. But it's still, it's
to have that backup option is so good. Yeah,
for sure.
Well. I learned something new. So you work on furnace too?
I don't personally work on them that much, but my family does. We have a HVAC business. Most of it's in our ministry now. I actually have more experience with refrigeration, with commercial refrigeration lines. So yeah, my dad had taught me well. I know how to braise better than anyone on the team.
Nice.
Well, so we know. I will call you, but that travel time. Oh my God!
Probably not worth it. Yeah,
I'll be like, listen, I just bring the furnace to you. You fix it, and I'll take it back and put it back in.
Yeah, instead of a jack of all trades, I'm a Jane of all trades. It seems.
There you go.
I see. So, ladies, what are we talking about today?
Well, what do we want to talk about? That we could talk current events, all of the stuff going on in the news, or we could continue with the Wisconsin State Constitution. What do we want to do?
I think it's kind of interesting to touch on current events and things that are going on these days.
Let's talk. Okay, let's do current events. I just saw one before I came in my studio.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Bring it on.
Breaking news. Joe Biden has announced that he is running for re-election.
Did you see his video? He starts out with the word freedom. Freedom. Yes, because freedom smacks of $40 a month extra for people who have high credit scores so that they can subsidize people with low credit scores. Freedom counts for children getting their balls chopped off when they're, 8 or 9 years old. And honestly, really, are they that tone deaf? He is not the party of freedom by any stretch of the word.
Well, it all depends on
freedom for them and their buddies.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it all depends on what freedom you're talking about. Freedom to act a fool, freedom to do dumb stuff, freedom to
encroach on other people's freedom. Sure.
Yeah, freedom to make everybody think they're crazy. When you look at some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind can go along with some of this stuff? I look at it and be like, are you that dumb? Are you that naive?
I'm thinking it's this. So for the last 100 years or so, we have literally been governed by a narcissist government.
I was literally going to say that.
Honestly,
that's gaslighting and victim blaming.
It has been so ingrained in us to believe that we must be the problem, right? And when we are, in a sense, we are, because we've allowed the government this much power and this much authority that they don't actually have. We've given over a lot of our freedoms, but at the same time, we're talking, this is like 100 years worth of this stuff. The only thing that is continuing to exist is an ever increasing government. We've got how many generations of people during that time, many of whom were fighting for freedom in their own little corners. But it is hard to fight against a tsunami, especially with a narcissist that's constantly telling you that you're the problem. And that really is, it's disgusting. It's really disgusting. But I do believe that we've lived in a very abusive society, and we've just gotten so accustomed to being the abused.
And it's covert abuse. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's becoming more overt.
Yeah.
Or,
so
yeah.
Now he's running for 4 more years.
Oh God.
To give people
God have mercy.
People from Ukraine Social Security, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there like, we weren't about if Social Security gonna be there when we get old. It ain't gonna be there because Ukraine getting it.
I'm not counting on Social Security. We're doing our best to get ourselves out of all the debt that we have. We got out of our consumer debt. We're trying to get out of our mortgage so that we can start investing on our own in things that are going to last, and in property, in different markets that are good, not all of the ESG woke stuff, but we're trying to diversify our investments in this world so that we can provide for our own family and our own legacy. I'm not counting on Social Security to take care of me.
I haven't counted on it since I knew how it worked.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, see, I'm not counting on it. Can I have mine? I'm not counting on it, but can I have mine now? I mean, I'm in my 60s.
In a few years, you're not going to get it.
I mean, I'm in my 60s. Give me mine right now. You know,
it's ridiculous, and it's so disgusting to see. I mean, just watching that ad of his announcement. I mean, think about that. Most people, they announce from like stadiums, or what did Trump do coming down his golden escalator or whatever, all of these like pomp and circumstance. Biden is so mentally incapacitated, they have to put him in a video, and I bet you they did more than one take because it's just so ridiculous. He cannot communicate a message, and the message that he's communicating, every last word of it is a lie. Mm-hmm.
I saw a notification on my Epic Times app that RFK Jr. Made a statement about the DNC and how they don't want to do a debate before the primary. And it's like, well, no
freaking way.
No freaking poo, because if you have, that he's gonna
RFK will mop the floor with him, and he's got a speech impediment.
Yes.
An actual speech impediment.
I've seen him speak. I have a picture with him. He is a very smart man.
Yeah.
Not perfect. No one's perfect.
No,
but
of course not.
Yes, mop the floor is absolutely a good way to put it.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, here's my thing. At this point, if we don't see something change on the Republican side of things, I might be voting for a Democrat for the first time in my entire life. And it's not because I agree with everything he says. It's because he is far more principled than, and he has been fighting for medical freedom. He's been fighting for children's freedom and for parental rights.
Are you talking about Robert Kennedy?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's not perfect.
He's not perfect, and I don't agree. I don't agree with many of the things that he stands for. But what I'm saying is I would rather be faced with an honest assessment from a Democrat of what they are and who they are, as opposed to dealing with people like our lovely 3rd District representative who just decided to give way and encourage people to make exceptions to the abortion rule.
So you're talking about that? What's his name? What is his name?
From 3rd District? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek Van Orden.
Oh, yes. That's the one.
Yeah, he decided to lecture all of us at our third district caucus about why we need to be more focused on the 60 million we could save than the 3 million rare cases,
Well,
because
see,
we'll
he
never
got
get
paid. He got paid.
you know what his first comment was, how did he put it? My wife and I prayed about this and we made sure that this was the way we needed to go. I'm like,
So who was
what
he praying
God
to?
did you
Lucifer?
pray to? What
Who
God
he
did
prayed
you
to?
pray to
Lucifer?
that gave you permission to accept exceptions to murder? I mean, give me a freaking break. I'm sorry. It is still getting my blood boiling.
Listen, who did he pray to? Lucifer?
I'm wondering, because when I hear these representatives praying about these things, it's like you are. Hold on one second. Give me a
You know, the funny part about that is when they use the word "I prayed," how in the world do you pray to make a decision that goes against God? You're not praying to God.
You read your damn Bible, and then you tell me that prayer is lining up with the biblical word of God.
Wait a minute. Say that again, because I think you got a little hot there.
I did get a little hot. Pardon my language. I am seriously fired about this, and here's the main reason why. Main reason is God is fully against the murder especially of the unborn, because they have no defense. Second reason is because who are you trying to pander to? The Democrats will not accept any abortion bill that fights against the abortion laws. They won't accept any of it. So why are you trying to pander to them? Because they're not going to vote for it anyway. Evers has already said he's going to veto it, no matter if you put that exception in or not. So who are you pandering to?
And here's the thing, like what you guys just touched on, like who are you praying to? This is the problem with the traditional churches of today and these Christians. We are not taught how to actually have a spiritual connection with God.
Yeah.
We are just
Thank God I'm not a Christian.
Right. We are just taught how to have the surface level. Oh, you just pray for the things you want, and you know, just a super fluffy artificial nonsense. And this is actually why I firmly believe, because I've been there, why so many millennials and younger are moving away from the churches, because they are lacking that spiritual connection and that actual guidance from God on the right way that they should go. So they go to this new age stuff where they're actually teaching some semblance of, even though it's twisted, some semblance of a spiritual connection to some higher power. And that's the piece that we're missing, because if we actually had that funnel, that channel connected and turned on our end, you know, we would not be acting as we are and not having these artificial prayers.
I got it now. I got it, you guys. He prayed to manna.
Oh gosh.
He prayed to manna. And manna says, take it.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, these politicians, most of them, when they get in office, the attention and the easy money and the favors always they never had before. So now they're getting a taste of it.
Yeah.
And they can say, oh, you can have more of this. You just got to line up with us. And just go back to your side and just say whatever you want to say to them, you know. And so he come back, well, we prayed about it. Yeah, you prayed to manna, because you're going to leave from Washington, D.C. a millionaire, because you're going to make all this money now. So that's what he prayed to. He prayed to his God, and his God was manna.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. Just making that statement, we need to save the majority so we might have to ignore the minority for a little while. That is socialist. That is communist. That is every tyrannical government in the entire history of the world saying, well, we're not going to, the individual does not matter. Every life does not matter. Just the ones we know are politically, what's politically incentivizing for us, right? That is what he says at a third district. I mean, you should have heard the boos in the room. And then we got lectured by the chair for disrespecting our representative. I'm like, he's our slave. He's our slave. We put him there, and he promised that he would fight for life from conception to natural death. And now
you should have attacked him like you attacked me.
No, here's the cowardly thing that he did. As soon as he gave his speech, he had his people escort him out of the room because he had to make it to a funeral.
No, he was the funeral, so he had to leave. But you know, okay. So I'm gonna shift for a minute because I got some more breaking news.
Bring it on. I will try to keep the language to a minimum.
No, this one you'll be okay with.
Oh, good. Yeah, my apologies. It really.
Oh no, I like this. I like when y'all. I just like it when y'all lose it, especially you. Now that you're pregnant, you really be losing it. So I'll be like,
I am Mama Bear times 5,000. You just you do not mess with the sanctity of life. I'm sorry, that's not how we do this.
I know, right? There's another individual that announced that he's running for president.
Okay.
And he he will get my vote in the primary.
Okay.
You ready?
Who is it?
Are y'all ready?
Is it you?
Oh, heck no.
You'll get my vote.
I know, heck no. Do you know how they look young when they first announced and look like 25 years just landed on them?
Yeah.
So no. Now, but Larry Elder has announced.
Really?
Yes. And I
Wow.
like Larry Elder.
I do like Larry Elder.
I might even work on his campaign. I like Larry Elder a lot.
Yeah, I really got disappointed when he lost the governorship for the recall in California.
Yeah, but for him to be bold enough to run for governor in California.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he can handle the heat. I think I think Larry Elder would be good for this country.
Comes from strong stock.
Yes. His mom was a Democrat and his dad was a Republican.
Yep.
So he got it from both sides. So I think, hey, I'm freaking out. What's going on?
What?
I'm looking at the bottom of the studio.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now we got 2 Ambers.
Oh, weird. That was weird.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you frozen?
What you do? Switch?
Yeah. And yet my audio is super messed up. I can't hear you. So
okay.
I had to restart my computer because none of my buttons worked. So I had to do a hard shutdown. I could still see you guys talking. I just couldn't unmute to engage. So, but this doesn't work either if I can't hear you. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to keep listening.
Wait a minute. We can do the Twilights.
What was that?
I said we was gonna do the Twilights. You can hear us now, right?
It sounds like the tiniest little whisper. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna restart my computer and get back in that way.
Okay.
Continue.
Yes, we will. So Larry Elder joining this race. Have you seen Uncle Tom 1 or 2?
I've seen them both, and I absolutely love them.
Oh my God! The number 2. I mean, it is
mind-blowing.
Yes. I'm scared. I was started to do a show with Uncle Tom too, but I think I would get blocked everywhere.
It would be. We should do a watch party, though. I mean, we could at least keep it. I don't know. We could. Oh, are you hooked onto Rumble?
I gotta check that. I know that my YouTube streams to Rumble.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Larry Elder. Oh yeah, that's going to be an interesting primary because he's something else, and and I think that having him in that race, I think that would make it more interesting on the other side.
No, just one. Yeah, I agree. I think we definitely need some fresh blood. I mean, obviously he has a political history, but you know, I just, the people that we have who are showing interest in lining up, they are career politicians. They know they know the the buttons to push. They know who's going to get them the clout that they need.
Mhm.
And you know, we just cannot keep doing status quo. We really cannot. I'm so sick and tired of following the uniparty as they destroy our country. I mean, the Republicans, more government. I've been hearing from Republicans over and over and over again, and I'm probably going to get like bashed for this, going on and on about how they're going to keep Social Security strong. They're going to keep Medicare and Medicaid strong. I'm sorry, these are government programs. They're going to, you know, they are not constitutional. If we would just give the people their money back, they wouldn't need programs like that. They could find their own insurance in private, in the private sector. And then we could manage the cost of healthcare better, because we would be working like with Amber, with the private ministries and private healthcare associations and things like that, and we would be cutting costs. We wouldn't need Medicare and Medicaid to stuff people in nursing homes when they're when they're in their 80s and don't have enough money to pay for home care. You know, all of this stuff. And the Republicans are like, oh no, we're going to save all of these things. Really? Read your freaking Constitution. None of that is something you should be saving. You should be giving the money back into the hands of the people. Stop taxing us up the wazoo. Stop property taxes. Stop income taxes. Stop all of these direct taxes of the people. Because one, it is not equal across the board, which is again another unconstitutional thing. And two, you're taking the freedom of the people to decide for themselves, to self-govern, to make their own healthcare decisions, so that they don't have to go out of network to find a doctor who's going to do what they ask, right? Like, this is ridiculous. And to have the Republicans touting the same lines that the Democrats are touting, we don't have two parties anymore.
And the whole medical system, I missed the beginning part of that, but just tying into like this medical piece of things. I mean, it all started a little over 100 years ago. I don't know exactly how long, when certain rich and powerful families whose names both start with R.
Wait, who are they? No, I'm just kidding.
Right? I don't want to get blacked, please.
We're recorded. We're good for now.
I know, right? When they took over the medical education, they funded as a bribe. I will fund your medical school if you use my textbook.
If you use my board. Yep.
And it totally eliminated homeopathy and all of these other natural healthcare things that were already being taught. We've had these things for hundreds, if not thousands of years, some of them. And yet now, because of what these two particular families did, a little over 100 years ago, it led to this control, this monopoly over the medical industry. Medicine should never have been an industry to start with.
No, I mean, if you just like science shouldn't be. It should be in the hands of private researchers, right? In the hands of people who are not beholden to governments or to wealthy elites who are guiding and deciding what gets to be decided, what gets to be researched and everything like that. It should never have been in their hands.
And you know what? Okay, so I finally, a couple weeks ago, watched KrisAnne Hall's second non-compliant movie, the sheriff one.
Oh, that was a good one.
It was. Ooh, so good. I adore her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it ties in, and it also creates a transition. If we actually had sheriffs who were doing the job that was originally intended for them and working for the people, even things like snake oil salesmen, the bad ones, not those who were originally actually selling a snake oil like antidote, but the scammers, would be run out of town by the sheriff, because they would be hired to take out that scammer, because they are harming we the people.
Yep. And not only that, but the free market would run them out of town, because they would realize after somebody
People
takes their
wouldn't keep
medicine
buying
and
from
gets
them.
sick, right? They're like, yeah, don't go to them, right? That's the whole point of, when you word of mouth, when you see somebody who is in a business, in competition with others, and you try one of them out and they don't work, and so you go, I'm not going back to them, and I'll tell all my friends, and then you find another one who's competent and able to do it and for less cost. But we don't have that anymore. Everything is regulated. I was like, there just a lot of HVAC places, because we had before I knew about Sensala, we've had people come in to check our furnace in the past, because we had problems when we first moved in, and they were going straight to the brand, what do they call it, the supplier or the provider, the one who creates the actual machine, like
the manufacturer.
Manufacturer, that's the word I'm looking for. Pregnant brain. Okay. Anyway, they're going directly to them and finding it for the most expensive that they can get, when you could go through another source and get them for cheaper. But they don't do that anymore. So they charge you up the wazoo for a part that you can get for half the cost. And then they're not even honest about how much time they spend on it.
And here's the time thing, absolutely too. And here's the thing: the way most, and I don't remember the exact mathematical procedure that most companies do. We do a little bit differently, and it still saves money. So what most of them do is the way they do their markup, and then they're adding labor on top of that, is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So we do it a little bit, basically flip-flop it. We get still in the same ballpark, and it calculates out actually a lot better in a lot of times. But the markup of these things, I mean, restaurant markup, people are more familiar with, and that's extreme.
Yeah.
HVAC, and it also doesn't help too that because of 2020, when manufacturing facilities were shut down, the cost of furnaces and all that metal skyrocketed. Like there was a period you could not guarantee a price 2 weeks out, because it kept jumping so high. I think the prices have increased by I think Mom said like 40 or 60% in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then adding markup on top of that, like you're literally, I probably shouldn't say that word. You're seriously taking advantage of people's, money.
Yeah. And when you think about, I mean, all of our mortgage went up, it wasn't because of the actual house payment itself. It was because we escrow our insurance, and our insurance went up. They're not insurance. Property taxes. Property taxes went up. We've been told in the county board that it's not, all of these new improvements and things aren't going to affect property taxes. Yeah, okay, it's gone up every year that we've lived here. Yeah, exactly. And this is so, like, we're living in a home that is not our own, because we can't even get ahead of the mortgage and interest payments because we're paying more in property taxes. So all of this stuff is just, it is so ridiculous to me. And again, I'm going to say it right out loud. I am sick and tired of the Republican Party, and I'm sick and tired of the Democrats, both for different reasons, but they are literally the same party. They want bigger government. They want more taxes. They want to crush the American people. And they just go about it in different ways, and they tout it under the guise of
the same coin.
Yeah, exactly. And they go under the guise of, oh, we're doing this to help the people. No, you're helping no one but yourselves. You guys are living in your fancy little condos and mansions and $400,000 a year or $100,000 a year, whatever, and we're barely making ends meet.
They're no longer servants to we the people.
No.
Absolutely.
So let me ask this question: if I was working a job and I wastefully trick off my paycheck, can I go to my job and ask my boss for more money because I can't survive at home because I'm wastefully spending the money that I got instead of budgeting correctly? Can I do that?
I think one of the worst things that they did was giving Congress the power of their own purse. I think that was one of the things that I wish the founding fathers hadn't done. I wish they had made it every year, every election year, we the people got to vote. Like this is or not even that they get enough money to cover their expenses while they're working part-time in the government. That's it. You know, I wish
now if it were up to us, we'd probably be paying them minimum wage.
Yeah.
As a waitress, you get tips if you serve us well.
Yeah, exactly. We'll give you a tip if you do it well, right? I mean, honestly. Right. Because it was never meant to be a full-time job. They were always meant to have, these were businessmen, they were lawyers, they were doctors, they were farmers. They worked, and then they came and did their thing in Congress too. And then they went home.
Even locally, sheriffs too were basically for hire. Yes. They had their job, and then when they were called, they would leave their job to take care of the matter, be privately paid for this service to protect we the people, and then go back to his day job.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna call this "Think About It Tuesday" high blood pressure.
Yeah, I've got my first midwife appointment. This is not going to be good this afternoon.
Grab your lavender or
I know.
I've been having a hard time with essential oils. Like smells have been really, really bad.
Bottoms of your feet.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that, because I'm finna bring up something else that I know is gonna make y'all blood pressure.
You know, just keep it coming, dude. Keep it coming. I'll lose a little of the extra water weight today too. So let's get into the little white schoolhouse. Oh goodness. Okay, I don't know much about it except I saw that it was being moved. Why is it being moved? Where the Republican Party started, they moved the little white schoolhouse from the original location, and where are they moving it to?
I think they moved it to a place in between a car dealership and a Culver's restaurant, and I think they're fighting for it now to keep its historical status, because the Chamber of Commerce knew a month before they moved it, if you move it, but when your Chamber of Commerce is run by liberals, now here's the problem I have. Here's the problem I have. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm never wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. But you cannot tell me that not one Republican knew they was going to move that house. Not one Republican knew that, well, maybe they didn't know because maybe they let liberals come into a conservative place and take over the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
But now I see they trying to raise money to fight it and
to fight something retroactively never works nearly as well, because both sides end up losing.
As we've seen for the last 100 years, fighting retroactively for things like, I mean, it's just think about anything we've had to fight retroactively. Homeschooling, right? They made it a legal battle. Homeschooling was already legal. It was already lawful for a parent to homeschool their child. Why did we have to take it to the courts? We should have just told the federal government where to stick it, And like, you come near my child. I mean, what was that Biden? Oh yeah, Biden had a speech about how there's no such thing as someone else's child. You get near my child and I will kill you. I
will show you that there is such a thing as someone else's child.
This is my child. These are my children. They were given to me as a gift by God, not by the government. You were not in my bedroom when that happened. You were not in any part of the process.
They wasn't in that bedroom.
You just stay away from my family. And this is what we keep doing. We keep coming up with, the 501c3s from the churches. Why did they accept that? And now we're fighting to get back our church freedom. You know, like why?
The reason they took that is because, again, nobody read.
Yeah.
Nobody read to say, or the Constitution to see that a church did not have to be 501c3.
Yeah.
But
and it's a twofold issue. Nobody read, no one knew their constitutional rights, and so many of these churches were teaching this brimstone and fire, like you better behave and obey because you're sitting in God's hand and all he's waiting to do is dump you when you misbehave.
Yeah, blind obedience.
Yep.
Right. But then you got to look at it like this too, though. A lot of churches got started because of God didn't send them. So they needed provision. So if God don't send you, then he's not giving you provision. So they needed provision. So they became 501c3. And guess who been giving them their provision? The state.
And not only that, but I really struggle a lot with pastors who state that, you know, when I was in high school, I was called into ministry. Okay, great. You accepted Christ. You were on a high. I mean, I've been to those high school or college life group, you know, retreat things. It's all emotion. It is all emotion. Great. You felt in that moment that God was calling you into a certain ministry. Okay. Your ministry is stated specifically in scriptures. Go into all the nations, make disciples of all of them, teaching and teaching them everything I have commanded you, right? Starting with your families, starting in your local communities. You don't need a pastor's degree to do that. You know, you don't need to get into debt in a school, in a seminary, in order to complete the mission that God has asked of us. What are your gifts and talents? What is God giving you a passion for? If it's pastoring, great, awesome, do it. But don't tell me that there was a specific call where he stated very, very clearly, you are to be a pastor, because I doubt it. And I'm not gonna go in and, you know, judge everybody who's walked into the pastor's role and said I felt called by God, because obviously they do. You know, you'll hear them speak and you'll hear them give sermons, and that you can sense that they have a heart for God, and they minister where they're at. That's great, but I don't think that it is quite so specific as that. And I could be completely wrong. I could be just speculating on nothing, but if you've read your scriptures, it tells you exactly what we as the body of Christ are supposed to do: expand his kingdom, build his kingdom. You know, on this rock I built my ecclesia, my public square. Be in the public square. You know, make it so that there is no question that your life is devoted to a higher power, right? And that people will ask you. If they're not asking you outside of your little, you know, church bubble, what gives you hope and what gives you a reason for, then I would strongly question whether you actually are following God. Because, I mean, think about how the apostles spoke, how Paul stated very clearly, always be prepared to give a reason for the hope that you have. Do it with gentleness and respect. Always be prepared. What does that mean? It means that people see you and they go, there is something different about that person. There is something different about their life. There is something that I need to know why. I need to know how, right? And if you're not being approached with that, then you've got to question, am I actually completing the mission of serving and expanding God's kingdom?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I just had a conversation this week with someone who got her PMA, over a year ago now. And at the time, it was longer ago than that, because at the time, she got hers from my mentor, and he graciously edified me. I'm not sharing to toot my own horn.
Yeah.
Because here's the subject.
Sure you are. You're a woman.
Oh, dude.
Don't start. You toot your own horn so much.
I'm going to tell Rosie to punch you for me.
Hey. I do because I'm a man.
Anyways, so on this call last week, I'm not even gonna feed this.
I know.
anymore.
I fed it and I shouldn't have.
It's all good.
I'm already on a roll, so it's just like everything's kind of coming.
Yep.
Dr. King naughty.
So on this call last week, I shared with her that I'm feeling very led to officially like start my podcast. I had been kind of riding on or relying on being on other people's podcasts, even here, to share, because it really reduced the amount of effort that I really have to put in to be consistent and conscious about what I'm doing and sharing. And then last week, Wednesday, actually, as I'm driving up to Minnesota, listening to this audiobook on like organization, not organizations, but like clearing clutter kind of stuff.
Right. Yep. Declutter.
And the last part, I don't even remember what it was about, but I realized by stuff sitting here in my notebooks from my notes, it does no good. It collects dust.
Right.
Doing podcasts and then having like transcribed so I can make an email newsletter, all this stuff. Like that's how I get the information out.
Yeah.
And where that tied in is I shared this with her, and she very lovingly, with a lot of grace, said, ride this train, because while your mentor is still alive, that's where your credibility really sticks, because you can point back to him. And right now, this whole time, my name has been almost second to his, not by my doing or by it's been divinely inspired, absolutely. And so there's a lot of responsibility that comes with having my name second to the main person of this movement. I've been doing this for almost 40 years.
For sure.
And so it was a huge light bulb moment, and this like little bit of weight that's like, this is your baby now, this is your responsibility, you are the keeper of the knowledge, what are you going to do with it? And that's the other thing too with where we're at, is with the keepers of the knowledge, with as believers, how are we acting, how are we choosing to step forward in this knowledge, in this role of responsibility? And
it's a huge weight, but it's also a privilege that God has entrusted it to us, right? I mean, that's something that I keep thinking about. Like, I mean, if you look at my life right now, it is so crazy. I mean, a new baby coming. I mean, I'm homeschooling all of my kids, and I know I've said this before. And yes, I am tooting my own horn, Dr. King. I'm doing my own education. I'm stretching myself quite a bit, but I'm just realizing that, like, this type of thing, it is, I've said it before, it's my sweet spot, right? Like, raising my family while I'm doing this is my sweet spot. We have my kids are getting involved in it. My kids are asking questions. My kids are seeing that their mom is not just sitting on the sidelines complaining about how things are going. She's actually getting out and doing something about it, right? And if I want to leave a legacy for them, first, obviously, pointing them to Christ over and over and over and over again through my flaws and foibles and through my successes, but also living out what I'm preaching, right? Living out the words that I'm speaking. I want to be another Thomas Jefferson or Abigail Adams. I want to be a founder of a new era of freedom in America, right? Because I want it for my children, and I want it for my children's children's children, right? And so I'm not doing this because it's easy. It is not. It is a struggle. And I mean, with the first trimester almost done, I'm like, God, please just get me through it so I can keep going, because it is hard. There are some days I'm just like, do I have to get up and do this again, right? But I'm also recognizing, and I started in my journal. So I keep a commonplace book with all of my notes and books I'm reading and, all of the different things. Again, I could do a podcast with all of it, but in every journal entry that I make, I put at least 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I have not had a single pregnancy brain again. When you copy yourself again, You copy yourself.
Oh, you haven't
I've
repeated.
been duplicated. Thank you. Good word. Duplicate. That's a
Copy.
great word. I have not duplicated myself once, and I've had multiple, dozens of journal entries already this year. And so it's just, copy or duplicate. So because I'm realizing that the more that I focus on all of those good things, the more I have the endurance and the strength to do the mission that God asked me to do, right? And the mission is to expand his kingdom. The mission is to make disciples of every nation. And this is the way that this is the skill and the talent that he's given me to do so, right? So yeah, obviously everybody on this podcast sees me and knows I'm excited about this stuff.
Are you really?
Really? Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't tell.
Listen.
but yeah, it's just it is so amazing, and I'm learning more and more how much gratitude actually does change the entire. I had a pastor once say, gratitude is the attitude that gives altitude to your life. And I was like, yeah, that's totally down with that. No, you already had
I the reason I say what I say and I toot my own horn is, if I toot my horn, then I ain't got to worry about nobody else. Because somebody else is not going to toot your horn, being a wife, a homeschooler, pregnant mama, and a county supervisor, all in one, fighting for freedom. Ain't nobody else going to toot that horn. So you need to toot your own horn. Because
so speaking of tooting your own horn, I just started my own bakery / catering business.
On top of all the other things you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even going to say anything, because with the work that I got so much on my plate right now, I can serve you like a smorgasbord. But, but when we look at it, we got to, because you got to stay busy to keep your mind, because we'll go crazy because we see so much crazy stuff happening. And, I just saw on the news that Milwaukee's 2024 budget might be $150 million short. So guess who they're gonna take it out on? I don't mind. For one, I don't mind them taking it out on the library, because a lot of people really don't use the library no more. So I really don't mind the library. But they're talking about the police and the fire, and then And then they're talking about they said it ain't for sure, but this could be on the chopping block. Well, we would even close a police district, remove body cams. I know, right?
What's the bleep?
Just to say, but wait, because of their pension. So their pension is more important than having the police on the street. And then they wonder.
Here's a great idea. Let's reduce everybody's in government leadership. Let's reduce all of their salaries down to $1, and then they don't get a pension. Once they're done, they're done. How about that?
Oh, that would be good, but they're not going to do that. So, but I'm looking at all the stuff that they do and they don't do. But you always attacking safety. You always attacking the police, and they're attacking the fire department. And, and then they're like, oh, Milwaukee won't be a great city without the library. Shut the front door.
Compared to the police and the fire department.
Build your own freaking personal library. I'm doing it. And you get more quality books there too.
Real books too.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you're telling us you ain't gonna have enough for body cams?
I thought they wanted those so that they could, pick on the bully policemen who killed everybody.
Well, you know what this really is. This is them actually hollering to fund the police. That's what they're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, because crime in Milwaukee is already not, at crisis levels. Let's just make it more possible. Just like with the shooting thing. I know we talked about this last time, that guns and amendments and stuff like that. Just like saying, oh, we need to remove We need to remove more guns from people because that's going to stop criminals. Are you freaking kidding me? The criminals
already don't follow the laws.
Right, the ones who don't follow the law. I actually did I got my an op-ed in the paper about the Second Amendment and everything. And I literally had somebody from my district drop off a letter to thank me for putting that in the paper. I'm like, you know, part of me is like, I'm so glad that, you know, I got some positive feedback on it, but at the same time, hold on. Okay.
Mom life.
I know. Listen to this. In one day, there was a batteries cutting a stab on the north side. These are all Milwaukee Police dispatch call for service.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, go ahead. You can finish.
Okay. One stab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Crash with injury. Dead end entries. 1 dead end entries. 1, 2, 3 overdose. 1 robbery. 1.
Don't tell my kids that. Jake's down there and they're already freaked out enough as it is.
one armed robbery. 1, 2 shootings. Shots fired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Shot fires. Shot spotters. That means they heard gunshots.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Stolen vehicles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 pursuit in one day.
And this is exactly why my mom was very uncomfortable with me going down there.
But your mama know you. But your mama know you packing, so you good. But the thing about it is, you're now telling us in the 2024 budget you want to shut down a police department. Yeah. Remove body cams.
Yeah. Well, okay, and this is the ironic thing, and people need to wake up because this is what you hear from them on that side. They're like, we're looking out for the little people, right? We're looking out for the minorities and the oppressed and all of the people who just can't get ahead in this life. When you do stuff like that, you are literally destroying lives in that same community that you say you're trying to protect. Don't give me your BS about protecting that community when your choices are literally making that impossible.
Yes.
You should be encouraging every single person in that community, every single adult person in that community to be carrying a weapon so that they can be the ones who take down those bad guys because the only way you stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, right? That is the only way, whether it's the police, whether it's a good
and the
Samaritan.
People who dispute that are absolutely off their rocker. And I just don't understand the logic. And all
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, all I picture when I hear these things and these intentions, and kind of putting them at a juxtaposition with each other, all those statistics you just shared, plus what they're trying to do, all I see is this very dystopian, like 1984 kind of thing, where we're all in those like 1950s style neighborhoods where everyone pulls out of their driveway at the same time every day to go to work. They all come home at the same exact time, and they've become robots. That's what they, it's that whole you will own nothing and be happy with it because, oh, you do need us. Oh, we'll take care of you then. Come over here into our 15-minute cities where you're going to be safe and you'll have access to everything within a 15 minutes walk. Yeah. And we'll take care of all your life for you so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But listen, there's 2 police departments 2 station districts on the south side. District 6 and District 2. So with the budget cut, they're talking about getting rid of District 6. So that means one district got to cover the whole south side.
Okay, where is that district? Like in terms of what kind of neighborhood is it in? What kind of
It all depends. Some part is okay, but some parts is some side of it is where they're doing a lot of stealing and break-ins, and then the other side of it is where they're doing the shootings and stabbing.
But I mean, like, as far as demographic wise, what is the kind of the makeup of that district?
It's a mixture.
Okay.
So you have, I don't know what percentage is white, what percentage is Latino, what percentage is black, because it's a mixture of.
But I mean, are they lower income? Is it lower income or is it higher?
Some
Yeah,
lower,
not just color, right.
Some lower, some middle class, some.
Okay, so it is a mix. I can guarantee you, if they defund that police station, you're only going to have lower class there, because that's the only people who are going to be able to afford this.
To move out, will move out.
Yeah. Afford to move out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you look at it like that, you know, a lot of people is there because they can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
So if they can't go nowhere, just like on the north side, where they put in the people in, they call a place called the Meadows in Northridge Lake Town. They own Section 8, okay, a lot of them. So they got low income. Where they going?
Yeah.
They can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, but guess where the police gonna be chopped at? In those areas.
Yeah, exactly.
They will not be able to get a police officer in those areas. By the time the police come, somebody gonna be dead. And the fire department is not gonna go in that area if they're not safe. So if the police if the police is not gonna go, how you gonna force the fire department to go into an area that is not contained?
Yeah.
So now you're looking at it like, okay, what we do. And when you look at the logic of our common council and our mayor today, they're more important. They only focus more on money than they do lives.
So do they know how to spell logic?
I doubt it very seriously. But
this is where we need to start. And I there's one organization that does some sort of, I don't know if it's like privatized security. I don't remember in the area, but I know down in Texas, of course, Texas, right?
Of course,
there is basically this community volunteer, emergency services, and they will actually provide support to the public domain ones, but they're all privatized. It's all private funding, all fundraisers and things like that. And they have their own, trucks and equipment and things like that. And especially they're able to provide service, especially in these more remote areas.
Yeah.
This is where stuff like that might actually come in handy, because those who can afford to help fund these things, create your own or create in your community these privatized services.
Well, and a lot of people might argue that, the privatization is going to make our communities smaller. Good. We need smaller communities. We need people. We need to know who our neighbors are, right? We need to know that we can trust the people in the houses around us, that if my kids go down and play on the other street with the other neighbor kids, there's not going to be a pedophile in that block watching out the window, waiting to see which one's unprotected, right? We need to know these things. And the bigger the community, the founding fathers, well, not all of them, but I know Thomas Jefferson, my favorite founding father, hated cities. He's like, they're a cesspool. They're just garbage. Let's not do this, right? He didn't want that concentration of power in these massive metropolitan areas. Because, and obviously we are in a different culture and different time and place. And so, having a firmly agrarian society is not necessarily going to be fully efficient. But at the same time, I want more people to be going back to that agrarian society. I want more people to have their backyards built into food forests so that they can share with their neighbors next door, right? That's the type of society we need.
And here's the thing: if we got back to these having more smaller communities, My son and I, mostly me, but this weekend on PureFlix watched Storm and Luther's Forbidden Letter. I think that's what it's called. Highly recommend. It's worth a subscription just for that movie alone, but there's a lot of good stuff on there. What I noticed most in this series is that, yes, having multiple communities coming together is important. Having more people to be able to rely on together to fight Big Brother is a good thing. And yet, even within this village, really at the time, there were pockets. I mean, Martin Luther, the church was the boss at the time.
Yeah.
We have to remember that, like, given the context of the situation.
Yeah.
They were having book burnings. They were banning books. They were forbidding certain things to be spoken of and to be taught. And you would be, detained or worse if you were found guilty of those things.
Right.
And even within the smaller pockets, the cliques really of the community, you still had to be very careful because someone could easily become a rat. And that's what happened in the movie, is one of the actual originally trusted people became a rat. And, that will happen less so. And you could see through, you can tell even in real life when someone's a rat, there is this guilty conscience. And when we have these smaller communities, that conscience, that guilt is what keeps people on the up and up.
Right.
Because you're letting down a certain person. You're not just
And we're not condoning churches doing book burnings and burning people at the stake anymore. They shouldn't have been doing that back then, because it's I mean, you look at read your Bible. It doesn't say you burn people at the stake when they're in sin. It says you gently and respectfully persuade them to the faith, right? Like, so there's obviously the church is not perfect and never has been. I'm sorry, the ecclesia never has been perfect.
You said no. You
said it right. The church.
I said it right.
The church.
Right?
Because the true ecclesia understands. They got understanding. And so, I mean, you look at it today, there's so much going on with misinformation when it comes to the Bible.
Can we just say lies? Because I'm like that word misinformation, disinformation. It's just so icky to me.
How about if I use
lies regarding the scriptures? There are lies regarding the church.
How about I use contaminated information?
Thank you. That works.
Okay, and the reason
I'm like semantics and everything like that, but I've had so many people tell me, well, you're just listening to disinformation and misinformation. I'm like, define that for me.
Okay, so let me
it's
say
a way of fluffing up.
Let me say it this way: contaminated truth. How's that?
That works.
And the reason I say contaminated truth, because they will show them a scripture, but then when it get contaminated when they put their own understanding on it, right?
Exactly. Yep.
For example, they say a woman should not wear men's parable, right? You got a whole religion say women can't wear pants, but back then there was no pants.
Yeah, the men wore robes. Give me a break.
I know.
Right? So they were wearing women's clothes, if we want to look at it that way.
Right. So they say, oh, well, that's a man's parable. Show me a man in the Bible that had on a pair of pants.
Yeah. Well, and we're not taking into account that there were cultural reasons for that. There were things that were happening in that day and age that we've got to take that into account. What was going on? Like right now, are not wearing men's and women's clothes. That's like the transgender movement. You don't do that, right? That's antithetical to the scriptures. But when we're talking about back then, we've got to take those cultural things into context. What was happening? What was the church he was speaking to? Right? When they talked about women not getting all gussied up and wearing jewels and stuff like that, it was because there was a brothel right next door, and they didn't want the women in their church to look exactly like the prostitutes, right?
Right. But
these are the things we need to remember when we're reading the scriptures. We can't read our own ideology and our own culture into the scriptures, because it doesn't work.
Yeah, we have to read it in context.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is, when you look at it, right, it just totally contaminated so it could fit a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And legalism, that is what truth contamination does. It leads to legalism, or it leads to the opposite, which is completely liberal, right? Where you have there, it's all grace and no judgment, right? So it's either that or it's legalistic and there's all judgment and no grace.
Right. Just like, for example, when the Catholic ran out of money when they was building St. Peter's, right? What did they do? They started selling purgatory.
Selling indulgences, yeah.
Yep.
Right?
That's exactly what they were doing in the movie too. Is
right.
The mom and the wife of the main characters what saw these indulgences, and her friend was able to buy one, and she really wanted to get one too. It's like they're baloney. They're made up.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look at the Mormons. The Mormon says if you're not good but not bad, you go to spirit prison. And you be sitting there like, okay, where's y'all getting this stuff from? Yeah. And then you look at the Baptists and a lot of them says, once you accept Jesus Christ, you can live any kind of way. Because now that you're saved, then they say, oh, you can't take communion unless you baptize, and all this legalism stuff that they add on to make you say, you can't
play cards, you can't dance, you can't drink wine, you can't
go to the movies, you can't go swimming.
I'm really SOL if I'm following those rules.
Like I'm on the road to hell then.
Highway to
but wait.
You cannot blend two different types of fabrics
to
make clothes.
I know,
right?
but wait a minute. I was living in Georgia at the time, and I was a minister down there, and I played in the basketball league, right? So I'm playing in this league, and they was like, "Come on, Minister King, get that block," right? So we at the foul line, and I'm down there, and the referee right there, and the referee said to me, "You sinning." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You don't supposed to be playing basketball. You're sinning." So I'm playing the game, and I wait till I wait till there was another foul, and we at the free throw line. And then I said, "But wait a minute, ain't you a minister?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You're not sinning because you refereeing the game?" He had a different rule. It was okay to referee. It's not okay to play. I'm sitting there like, well, then I'm on my way to hell because I'm finna score me a basket or two.
Yeah. And I think that's where the legalism comes. People can have their own convictions about certain things, right? I mean, people can choose not to drink wine or alcohol because they have family history of alcoholism, or but that's their own personal conviction. They don't paste that on other people and say everybody has to follow this, right? You look at the scriptures, it says, love God and love your neighbors. That's the extent of that's the foundation and the meat of the law, right? And what does that look like? How do I love my neighbors? If I know there's a neighbor who struggles with alcoholism, I'm not going to be drinking around them, right?
Right.
Or if I know there's a neighbor who is going through financial troubles or something like that, I'm going to look for a way to help them out, but not in such a way that it
and you're probably not going to wear your brand new necklace
right, exactly. I'm not going to be inviting them to a one of those jewelry parties, where you spend $60 on a necklace, right?
Yeah.
So you just like that's where it comes down to it. What are the following Christ is a personal thing that and then there's the corporate organic body of Christ that works together to further his kingdom. And God deals with each of us in his own way. He deals with each of us within his laws, within his standards and his principles, but he's not going to deal with me in the same way that he deals with my neighbor next door, right? Because each of us are dealing with our own struggles, our own vices, our own sins, our own lifestyle and choices that we've made. And so every individual human being is made in God's, think about that. That just struck me so hard. We're each of us made in God's image. That's, what is it, 9 billion people on the planet now? 6, I don't know what it is. It's a huge number. Every single one of us were made in the image of God, and not one of us is the same.
And
How
you
big is
know
that?
when we look at it too, though, when we look at it for what it really is, if we move the legalism out of the way,
Mhm.
I'm supposed to love you for you. I'm
Mhm.
supposed to show you the God kind of love.
Yeah.
Now, I might not agree with your lifestyle, but I still got to love you.
Yeah.
Religiously, we was taught to pick up the pitchforks and the torches, and anytime you see a homosexual, burn them to the stake.
Burn them at the stake. Yeah.
Oh, like the
But-
Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'll
right,
call them up by name.
Yeah.
but but the thing about it is, my job is not to do that, because God says I judge them. I will
Right.
deal with them.
I
My
judge
job
them.
is to love them.
Yeah.
And hopefully through my life, they can see the God in me that they want to change their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that we don't make judgments in a sense,
Right.
because there is a vast difference from loving my homosexual neighbor and allowing him to mess around with my little kids, right? Like
No, you
there's
ain't
a
getting
huge
close to my
difference.
kids now.
You don't get close to my kids. You don't tell them about your sex life. You don't, like you think of all the teachers now, these woke teachers who are literally sharing on TikTok and whatever other social media how they're indoctrinating your children. And the fact
Even
that
go
parents
back, even if that stuff wasn't happening, go back to when I was in high school. Our geography teacher and even the English teacher.
Mhm.
I'll go with the English teacher because literally has nothing to do with politics. Don't even have to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
In English. So
Yeah.
we absolutely knew her political stance.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely made sure that if you had an opposing view, you were not to voice those.
Yeah.
In an English class.
that's not your job, woman.
Yep. And I mean, the geography teacher too, most of the rest of them, and actually our psychology teacher, I mean, he's gone now, but I honestly don't know which way he leaned. He was
Yeah.
so good at not putting his opinions in.
Because the education of a child is not to be indoctrination. It is not to force your views on them. It is to teach them how to learn and how to think in order for them to
Mhm.
make those conclusions for themselves as they grow and mature and they see various worldviews. Obviously, with my kids, I teach them about the Word of God, but I also leave it up to them to make those decisions. I don't tell them you
Yeah,
are a
you're
Christian.
So
and-
focused on sharing truth, and it just
Exactly.
so happens that when you're in truth with a
Yes.
capital T, you're gonna go a certain direction.
Right. So I'm giving them moral guidance. I'm giving them the Word
Yep.
of God. I'm teaching them what is right and wrong, how to live with one another in a peaceful manner. I mean, all of these things, I'm giving them these foundational principles and I'm pointing them to where I found them, right? But it is going to be up to them when they reach the age of reason or whatever you want to call it, that point when God basically says it's your decision and then you're answerable to me. And I have no control over that, right? I can only point them to Christ. I can't be Christ for them. And so this is my job as a parent to give them the foundation and to let them ask questions, let them have doubts, let them, wrestle with these things. Because if I just tell them blindly follow me, I'm the voice of God
Then
in
we're
your
no
life.
better than the government schools.
We're no better. Yep, we're no better than the government. We're no better than many churches nowadays, just telling their people to follow.
Well, because
and
they're
do-
state churches. They're incorporated.
Exactly.
They're
Do the
creatures
do
of
the
state.
rites and rituals and make sure you follow. And then you're gonna go. No, get to heaven. You get to heaven by following the Christ. You get to heaven by being a part of His kingdom, and by
Mhm.
watching what He does and imitating Christ. And this
Yeah.
is.
And,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I
this
wanted
is
to go back.
what I do for kids.
Yep. Sorry.
No,
I
that's
want to go
okay.
back for a second talking about the legalism thing and also taking things in the context. It took me a second to find the verse because I'd read it yesterday.
Okay.
This is why it's so important, you guys, too. And I'm not preaching, I am preaching to the choir here. why
can
we
do that
read
occasionally.
our Bible, because this
Yeah.
verse would shut down the legalism.
Yeah.
So I'm reading the Amplified Bible, Proverbs 21, verse 17.
Mhm.
He who loves only selfish pleasure will become a poor man. He
Mhm.
who loves and is devoted to wine and olive oil will not become rich. So, in the context of when and where this was written, olive oil was home. It was part of every single meal. Did
Mhm.
I freeze? Okay, we're good.
You're good. There was just a little bit, but olive oil was
It was a staple in
Thank
every
you.
home of the day, and it was part of pretty much every meal.
Yep.
And wine too. I mean, you're
Yeah.
pretty much stuck with water you collect or wine from your harvest that you made,
Yeah.
because there's no such thing as refrigeration back then.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So you're not going to have fruit juice. It's fermented, whether you
Yeah.
want it to be or not.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. So wine and olive oil were a natural part of everyday life then. It's
Yep.
he who loves and is devoted to. That's alcoholism. That is
Yeah.
addiction.
Yes. Yeah, when the creation becomes more important than the creator, right?
When virtues become vices.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the message Christ was preaching, right? He was I mean, how many times did he say, man looks at the outward appearance, I judge the heart? I was listening. Oh, here's another current event happening. Did you hear Dennis Prager's little thing about his how did he put it? That his religion, it deals with the actions of a person. So Judaism deals with the actions of a person, whereas Christians, and this is where he disagrees, they're so concerned about the heart, because Jesus is concerned about the heart. And you look in the Old Testament, it wasn't just actions that that God dealt with back then. He looked when he picked David to be king. The Lord looks at, that was the verse. The Lord looks at the heart, right? He looks at what's going on the inside of a person. It's not just your actions, it is what comes out of you. What?
Proverbs 23:15. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart will indeed rejoice.
Yes. So apparently, this scholar for Judaism doesn't even understand his own religion, because it is not a contradiction of Jesus going deeper and saying, I look at what is going on in the inside. If you hate your brother, you are considered a murderer, because it is, I mean, you look at what Christ focused on, and he was literally quoting the Old Testament scriptures, because that was his Bible back then.
Right.
And so you look
there
at
was no New Testament back then.
Right, exactly. So Dennis Prager's trying to give justification for why he thinks that pornography for adults in a mutual relationship is not a bad thing, because it's not their actions. As long as he's faithful to his wife, it's okay. And you're just like, you're looking at someone else's body.
Right.
How are you being faithful to your wife? If that, I'm like, it's no wonder he's been divorced that many times. Like, if that's the attitude he has, right?
Yeah. And that's what's so wrong with so many of these. I mean, you guys know I have a very big place in my heart for domestic violence, domestic abuse, healing from narcissistic, all that stuff. So, there are so many authors out there right now. Even I'm gonna pull up in my Kindle. I bought it just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, if you don't know your enemy, you don't know what you're fighting against.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my philosophy on it is learning that. The Power of a Transformed Wife by Lori Alexandra.
Yep.
There's this other author, and I know I have her book. I think it's the Great Sex Rescuer or something.
Ray Gregoire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So she kind of tears up these other authors. There's a guy, Gary Thomas or something like that. They're so toxic in the masculinity of the men and women's role. And if you're actually reading the Bible in the full context, it doesn't say anything what they're saying and what they're taking out of it. And
So yeah,
part of the
Gary
harm
Thomas
too.
and Sheila Gregoire, and there was one other, I'm trying to remember the other lady's name. They're actually trying to fight back against that culture because I love Gary Thomas. He is very much an advocate for women, especially in those types of
Has
situations.
he always been? Because I feel like I swear, okay, because
Yeah, so
There's
you're probably thinking about like Kevin Lehman, Gary Chapman, some of the other like marriage and family people. Yeah, he does the 5 love languages, which I'm not entirely certain I agree with.
oh, see, I love that.
Well, and it might to that it's not necessarily anything that I have against it. Biblically, it's just
yeah. My
it's-
roommate also said, yeah, the Sheila person you mentioned.
Yeah,
My roommate
yep.
has that book.
yeah.
But this is where we need to reform and we need to get
Yeah.
back to what the full context of what the Bible is saying, because
Yeah.
these things are not only harming individuals, they're harming the masculine and feminine. And I
They're
know it
harming the
sounds
body of
weird,
Christ.
but it's not, because
Yeah.
as we're individuals and people
Mhm.
or participants in a greater culture,
Yeah.
we need to fully realize how the masculine feminine
Yeah.
interact, both as men and women, but
Yeah.
also as our roles and all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I mean, you look at the whole purity culture and what damage it did to I grew up in that, and if you look back at it, I'm not gonna go into the intentions of the people. I think there was intentions that they just wanted to protect. They wanted to protect women and children, and they wanted to, in a sense, kind of not bubble wrap, but keep them from the world, right? And from the damage that takes place when you're involved in abusive relationships and involved in unwise, unwise dating and those types of things. But they took it so far, and it was. We were watching a movie called Courageous. It was by the Kendrick brothers. Great movie, but there was a part where they did the purity ring thing with the dad, and it bothered me so badly because I remember getting that purity ring from my father. That is a marriage covenant, and that does not belong between a dad and his daughter. It doesn't. That's not his job. His job, yes, is to protect his daughter, but not in a I'm going to be your husband in a sense until I hand you over to the next guy, right?
There's also some evidence in trauma therapy in that world of things, where those who have dealt with trauma, particularly with self-appearance or self confidence, particularly in purity culture, there's a really big rampant issue with obesity, and it's actually tied to having to feel like we're hiding oneself. So we're literally adding weight to hide ourself.
Yep.
It's a literal manifestation, and whatever you want to call it in the Christian sense, but same here.
Yeah.
Literal manifestation of covering one's body to hide it.
Yeah, that was the entire message, that your body causes men to stumble. And so therefore you must cover up. You're responsible for keeping men's eyes pure. Really?
It also causes us to have poor posture because we cannot walk with confidence and in proper posture because we're showing our body and curves. And it causes us to punch and hide and causes our diaphragm to not properly move our digestive system, because those are not they're not really muscles, they're just organs, and our diaphragm has to move them to get them to function properly. So we're not
it twists the beauty of the you are fearfully and wonderfully made. It twists it into you're fearfully and wonderfully made by God, and so therefore nobody else can see you. Therefore there is the like if you make a mistake with if you sleep around in college, or if you have one relationship outside of marriage, whatever the case may be, you are now damaged goods and you can no longer redeem yourself from that, right? It's that idea of man's law being higher than God's. God looks at you and he sees something beautiful. He sees something fearfully and wonderfully made. He created you. And then you twist it, and it's the same.
And then it becomes a spiral too. Oh, I've already effed up.
Yeah.
I'm screwed. So
might as well just keep going. Right. Exactly. And it's this idea of even just the concept of sex being treating that like a dirty thing. Yes, there are people who twist it and warp it, but it is a beautiful thing. It was created by God to build families, to be the foundation stone of all human government in the world. That's a gorgeous thing. It is something that we should be celebrating, but celebrating in its proper context, right? And so those types of, I mean, that's this idea of where we're just this condemnation on these young girls who don't even understand. I didn't understand purity. It was like, I didn't understand, what, like the idea of all guys are wolves and they only want one thing. That's not true. Or like Dennis, well, there's exceptions to the real Dr. King, but like Dennis Prager said,
he himself admitted he was a wild stallion back then.
This was what bothered me about Dennis Prager's message. He stated that God created men for variety. Okay, if that was the case, then he would have given Adam several wives, but he didn't. He gave him Eve. So yeah, men might like variety in the bedroom. They might like variety, but they do not have to like variety in women. They can still be faithful to their wives. They do not need to be staring at a computer screen to get their variety when they have a beautiful woman that they should be cherishing and treasuring right in their bedroom and in their home. Right?
So let me ask.
That's toxic masculinity by saying this is their excuse. God created them this way, and therefore they must. No,
did God create them?
So let me just throw this in there to you.
He's been awfully quiet this last little.
I know. It's a little scary.
I know. I just let y'all. I let y'all vent. So I let y'all have that.
Yeah.
But what about? And I have heard this from men, and I heard this from women. So it's not just men's, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They use the phrase, "It's nothing wrong with window shopping, as long as you don't buy."
Or trying out the car before you driving the car before you buy it.
Yeah, before you buy it. So
I hated that analogy. That was awful.
Because it minimizes the entire relationship with a person to this one thing, this one aspect.
Yeah.
And that's the main problem with it, is that dating is a good, like, I'm not opposed to dating, getting to know a person, hanging out, courting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when we start getting into that specific thing and like, window shopping, that kind of stuff, like, it truly minimizes the entire scope of what this relationship will be to this one aspect. And if that's not good, nothing else, and it's going to be like. But
you have to understand, when they use that phrase, "nothing wrong with window shopping," that's them who watch pornography.
Mm-hmm.
That's them.
It's a justification for.
Right. It's a justification.
It's how close to the line can I get without crossing over it, right? And that's what kind of an attitude is that? How close can I get to sin without actually doing it, right? Like, how stupid an attitude to have.
Well, look at the Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah's Witness says you can drink but don't get drunk. When did you realize that you're drunk?
Yeah. It's what, and it also takes our focus off of Christ, because it puts it fully on us. Like, what can we do to meet this high moral standard? And Christ has already said you don't meet it, but guess what I do, right? Christ is the one who meets that moral standard. He's the only one who ever has. He's the only one who ever will. And therefore, the only way that we can find salvation is through him. And he's the only one who can transform us. He's the only one who can make our lives look like his. And that's, I mean, like, this is, whenever we take our focus off of that, we lose. Because like you were saying, Amber, when we focus on that one little aspect of relationship, right? That's why we have pride parades. That's why we have the transgender movement. That's because all we're focusing on is that identity of sex, right? This is my sexuality. This is my truth. This is how I express myself. Okay. That's
hold on.
great, but that doesn't belong on the streets. It doesn't belong because that's only one aspect of who you are.
I'm about to really make you explode.
Oh, goodness. It's keeping the morning sickness at bay, so keep it up.
Okay. So I just got an email It says the LGBTQ is trying to infiltrate the special needs community.
Oh, they've been doing that for a while.
But wait, they're now having books. And it says, I'm autistic bisexual. I am autistic gay. I am autistic lesbian. I am, hold on. Yeah, wait, I'm not finished.
Better, right?
I'm an autistic queer, excuse me, autistic queer.
Is there an autistic binary in there?
I'm an autistic pansexual. What's a pansexual?
Do you want to know, really?
I really want to know what that is.
You want to have at it, Sarah?
Really? All
Oh,
right, hold on.
she's looking it up. She's getting technical.
I'm getting technical because I don't. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So, of relating to or characterized by sexual or romantic attraction that is not limited to people of a particular gender identity, or basically, if you're pansexual, you just love everybody.
Yep. I mean, it's basically bisexual plus because
Okay, what is I'm in it
So,
sexual?
You're not picky about who you're with, basically.
Right. So what is I'm in it sexual?
What is it?
I'm in it. Omnipotent. I'm in it. OMNISEXUAL.
okay. Oh, omnisexual. Okay.
Omnisexual. Let me. That one I'm not entirely certain
Yeah,
about.
it's the alphabet soup at this point.
Refers to someone. Basically, so it's pansexual. It's just another word for pansexual. Someone who's romantically, emotionally, or sexually attracted to persons of all genders and orientations. It's the same thing. Just
Oh,
said
so
in
basically, you're saying like
So what
I
is the
can
two
see where they're
spirit?
trying to create a difference.
yeah.
So what
but
is the two spirit? Is that a transgender? A two
No.
spirit?
I think we used to call that what was the word when you have multiple voices in your head.
Oh, like split personality. I know that's not the politically correct way of saying it.
Bipolar?
Not bipolar,
Schizophrenic?
schizophrenic. It's basically you're schizophrenic. Yeah.
Or intersex?
Intersex.
I've heard that one. I don't remember that one either.
Maybe that you are more than one, possibly intersex. I'm trying to think the Latin general term for use of a variety of situations in which a person is born with reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the boxes of female or male. So
Oh my God.
so external genitalia don't match the internal genitalia, I guess. So
now not only
Oh, it says that they have both organs.
Okay.
That's another way.
that used to be androgynous, but now we changed that term.
right. So now not only as parents have to deal with their child that's autistic, now even autistic don't know what sex or I'm curious about something, and this is the part that just blow my mind. The only way you can be an alcoholic if you drink alcohol,
Yeah.
too much alcohol. The only way you can be a crackhead is you smoking cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
The only way a virgin can be a nymphomaniac if she have sex,
Yeah.
or she's still a virgin.
Yeah.
A person that is obese is somebody who just loves eating a lot, and you got to be able to eat a lot to be obese, right? So if a child never had any experience with sex,
Bingo.
how can they be gay?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. There's a video.
I wonder why we say they're grooming our children.
Yep. There's a video I want to share with you guys. One of my friends from Minnesota shared it with me. I think we should put it in the caption even. It's so good. The
Yeah.
title.
You won't be able to do that until we air it. You
Right,
can't put
right.
nothing in.
I know. So the caption before it cuts off is a trans hero from the doc What is a Woman shames basically the media.
Okay.
I gotta give kudos to this person because they were basically sold this web of lies.
Yeah.
And became trans, and now they're realizing they're screwed. They're effed for life.
Yeah.
And their lifespan will be significantly cut short because of these surgeries, because these things that were pushed on them medically because of this.
Yeah.
And we're pushing this on children. And I am very impressed because
So
someone.
I gotta ask this question.
Mhm.
I have to ask this question because you guys know I'm kind of like, I don't have no sense, so I'm kind of lost. So y'all gotta help me, you know. If I woke up this morning and I felt white, do I get white privilege?
Well, Rachel Dolezal all felt black for most of her life, so I mean, I guess we could do the opposite,
I
right?
mean, I wake up
You're
and
just
I
a
go
really
to the
what is it,
bank and say,
melanated?
I feel white.
Yeah.
And today I feel like my credit scores are 900. Do I get a loan?
No, see, because now if your credit score is a 900, then you get charged extra instead of getting rewarded for having good credit. So
Mm-hmm.
you
But
should.
don't I
You're
get
just a
my?
really melanated white person.
Yeah,
That's
you
what it is.
just yeah.
But I feel white. Don't I get the white privilege?
right. I mean, you don't have a. Okay, I'm playing along with this card, so don't come at me.
We're
You
playing
don't have
devil's
a black
advocate.
name, so you can totally get by with identifying as white.
Yeah.
David is a very white name, right? I'm
Well,
kidding. I'm joking. Please don't come at me.
Actually, David is a black name. Dave is the white name.
True, very true.
But
Wouldn't
but
it be
that-
pronounced David then instead to make it unique?
yeah, if you call me David, then I know I'm Spanish. Okay,
That too, I guess.
David Ray. That's my name, David Ray. But the point I'm making is knowing no matter how I feel white, I would never be considered a white person. Hey.
Yeah.
So how you gonna tell me if you feel like a woman today, you are now a woman?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't have logic, we don't have reason, and we don't have a foundational principle anymore. We don't have our core book was once the Bible in America, and it's not anymore. And so that's why we have
just a biology book would be better than nothing.
Yeah, I know. About,
Just saying.
That's going to be our new core book, the old biology books, not the new ones that are coming out.
Right.
So you mean to tell me I spent all that time in high school dealing with biology and it was a lie?
You mean they lied to you in public school?
I know, right? And 2 + 2 can be whatever you want it to be now?
Well, math is racist, so obviously you can do
And violent.
Yeah, and violent.
I just emailed you, Sarah.
Okay.
Do I have your email?
You should. I emailed you your documents.
Touche. Hold on.
Well,
Let me.
Mine's my ministry email's public, so I'll just share it. It's livingwithfreedom@protonmail.
Okay, wait a minute. I got to get to it now.
Oh, this is fun.
See,
Oh,
this
you're
is
looking
your
at that
fault.
link I sent?
Yeah.
You say living?
With freedom.
Hold on. Living with.
If you had a Samsung, you could swipe text and it'd be so much faster. Well, he might be of that age that Hunt
living-
too.
Living with Freedom, Android.com, huh?
No, at Proton Mail.
At what mail?
Proton Mail. Proton, PROTON
Uh-huh.
.com.
So
Proton.
mail go with Proton Mail.
Yeah, one word.
What you do? Get you an off the grid email too?
It's much more. It's highly encrypted. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
The only thing that sucks about it is that it's so encrypted and so protected that Gmail and Yahoo hate it. So even if I've received an email from someone with Gmail, the first time, if I respond to them, it will go to their junk mail. It sucks.
Okay, so see if you got the email. Sarah, did you get it?
I did, and it's making me really mad. So
I know. That's why I sent it.
I'm sorry. You cannot compare autism as a spectrum to gender as a spectrum because there are only two genders. Only two. There's
I know.
not 4 or 50 or 70. There's
I
two.
didn't get it yet, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll
sent
send it to you, Amber.
Okay.
I'll
Fine.
forward it.
CC him, basically do a reply and CC me so that he has my email address.
Okay.
I just sent it to you.
I've refreshed it 3 times.
See, the problem is that Android, you should have an iPhone.
That has nothing to do with sending of an email.
Yeah, your iPhone, your Android.
Maybe your Apple phone is being slow at sending it.
Oh, and I didn't send the actual for the love. Wait, maybe it did. Hold on, maybe it did. Yeah, it did. It's in the actual
Body,
so,
yeah.
Let me know if you got it.
Nope, she didn't get it from you either.
We're having.
I mean, it does take a hot minute. Oh, there's Sarah's. There's Sarah's. I wonder if he typed it wrong.
It's possible.
It says address not found.
Yeah, I found that the news thing that you were talking about earlier, Amber, the trans hero from the What Is a Woman. I'm gonna listen to it at some point because because this is, I mean, honestly, he was the only one who was honest about it. I mean, you look at what was the one lady who is, she's like this really bubbly, peppy woman, and she's like, I don't know if I'm a woman, and it's like, you're a woman, you're a freaking woman, you have your XX chromosomes, and what is wrong with you? Or he's like, or when he's walking through the streets of where during the Women's March, and he's asking, what is a woman? All of these women are looking at him and they're giggling and going, or they're getting offended. It's like, you're marching in the Women's March. You're really?
I have an innie, not an outie.
Really? You can't tell me what a woman is and you're marching in a woman's march. I mean, give me, it's just, yeah.
I mean, this
you laugh, but it is like
you laugh so you don't cry.
Right, exactly. We have to mock it because if we don't, it's going to continue to be mainstream. I think that's something that the Christians do really horribly, is we don't mock things that are, like when who was I listening to? There was a pastor who is talking about how Christians, like, instead of mocking the things of that are ridiculous and illogical and everything, we shy away from it, and we're like, oh well, I love you. Yeah, you can love somebody, but you can mock them when their logic and reason is completely gone, right? Like when you're sitting at a parade that literally says woman in the title, and you're asking people to define that word and they have no freaking clue. Give me a break. We need to stop being so shy about it, right? Like, we're not doing that.
So like weak about it.
Okay, this will get me fired up. So when we are so freaking afraid of offending somebody else, so we cannot define a word or use a word.
Yeah,
it's gone beyond. This weekend, my son told me twice actually that his teacher, and I actually really adore this teacher for the most part. I've not had issues with her this year. She is really good with my son and his behavior stuff. But he told me this weekend that the students are not allowed to say the word easy because it's hurtful for the kids that don't find something easy. And I'm like, I don't give two flying F's if they're offended. Maybe teach them to have tougher skin. Like I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't really subscribe to the sticks and stones thing anymore because
No.
words can hurt. I get that. I respect
Oh,
that
totally.
because I've been hurt by words too.
Right.
And I've learned that when someone else is saying something that's hurtful, it's more of a reflection on them than it is a reflection on me. And that is the key component that we need to be teaching kids.
Right.
That, yeah, it might be easy for them. And they're not you. You might be really good at reading. And like
Exactly.
my son hates and kind of sucks at math like me. Maybe he got that from me. I don't know. But even though he hates reading, he's amazing at it.
Yeah.
And so for him to not be allowed, and so he's embracing my sassy nature.
Good.
He's like, okay, I won't say the word easy.
Oh,
I'll just say
Lord.
the letters E and the letter Z.
Nice.
And
I
I'm
love
like,
it.
I'm
You
like,
go.
I'm not gonna get mad at you, son, for that.
No, because that's really the thing. We have to clap back. And I, it's kind of a silly way of saying it, but we do. We need to stop letting them walk all over us and stop letting them say that they're offended by everything. You do not have a right to not be offended. I'm sorry that you live in this world. You are going to be offended by somebody. That's not my responsibility. I am not responsible for your feelings. And I'm not going to go so far as to say facts don't care about your feelings, but in a sense they don't, right? Like it's there is an element of we have to go past the feelings because feelings can help, but if they're the ones controlling you and making you angry and miserable, you need to start working on.
There is a little bit of in between, I will say, but it's voluntary and it's out of respect. Because we gave the example earlier. If you know your neighbor struggles with alcohol, you're not going to drink alcohol in front of them or ask them if they want some.
Right.
Like that's a sign of respect because you love the person and you care about them. It's not
Wait.
by an external.
Right.
Wait a minute, ladies.
Matt Walsh, hold on 1 second. Matt Walsh talking to these experts in their field who are literally chopping off the balls of children, right? And or giving them drugs that they would give to rapists to chemically castrate them, right? They're big enough in a sense to handle that, right? They can handle the mockery even if they act offended. They should know better because they're adults, right? This is a different type of a situation. Whereas if we're dealing, like you said, with somebody who's weaker in a certain area or who struggles with something, but these are people who have literally come out and said, you must bow to us, right? And you go, hell no. I ain't doing it. You throw me you throw me in the fire and that's fine, but I've got a bigger God.
Well, let me say this, because y'all know today is Think About It Tuesday, and I got y'all fired up, so I'm gonna just keep it going. So here's the thing: if you have a problem with chocolate chip cookies, I'm gonna eat them in your face and just tell you no. I'm just gonna torture you, okay? If you got a problem with drinking, I'm gonna drink in your face and tell you no. Look how y'all look.
Wait, you're talking about people who are legalistic about it, not people who actually struggle with alcohol or struggle with eating disorders, right? Please tell me that's what you're talking about.
Actually, I'm just making a joke.
Okay.
I had to cut it off because I just started looking at y'all face and I'm like, okay, let me not even go down that road because Amber just turned red real fast, and so
you're just trying to get us moving right now.
I know. I mean, y'all
already. Like we're up on par with him and his energy.
My blood pressure's high at my midwife appointment today. I'm blaming you, Dr. King.
Give her his number so she can, rip him a new one for her, causing her.
All I'm gonna tell her midwife is one thing. Tell your husband to give you a dry hump.
You're running from me, or you gotta stop that, dude. Dude.
Hey, Amber, you missed it.
Wow.
Jake, when we was closing out one of the shows, I told Jake, you're King D, what do I call it? King Dry Hump.
Yeah.
I said, you the king.
I'm pretty sure what happened was not. Never mind. We're not.
Yeah,
gonna
no.
go there. Anyways, hi. Okay, so we were talking about.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to bring y'all blood pressure down.
You know that's increasing it.
I know, and Sarah over there fanning right now, and Jake ain't even home, so
Giving me a case of the vapors.
she's sending smoke signals to him already. He's finna drive home.
Just like all caps and a bunch of exclamation points. Help!
Okay, so let's see. We got 8 minutes, so
Okay.
we
And
got
I'm
8
hungry,
minutes.
so it better be 8 minutes.
We got eight
We
minutes.
should
I
probably
gotta
start our wrap ups now, so we're actually
Yeah.
done in 8 minutes.
well.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I want to say I thank God my son is safe at his school this morning. There was
Yeah.
a bomb threat
Oh,
at his school today, but every morning we pray and I dispatch angels with my son to school. So I'm just I know he's safe and I'm all good with that. But you two, no more breaks, because y'all be built up with so much that when we start, y'all just let it all go. Just
yeah.
and Sarah has already, I think Sarah was on 10 before we started this thing. I think she was ready
think
today.
so.
There's been so much that we've talked about behind the scenes prepping for today. Well, just, talking about having our call today that, there's a lot to be on fire about. And this is why I felt it was really important for us to talk about current events today, because we need to be fired up, and not in the brimstone and fire, like, pitchforks and torches kind of fired up a little maybe, but using wisdom to share and love on others, to bring them into the light.
Yep.
Right. That part.
And that's the big thing, is this is not about not loving others. This is about loving others so much that we need to get truth with a capital T out.
Okay, we got to close it this way. What do y'all think about Fox News?
I've given up the legacy media on both sides, so I
haven't watched mainstream news in a decade. I will not. If someone recommends I watch a certain show.
Do you know what you call it? It's going off of Fox News.
Yep.
now.
Yeah. I also know Don Lemon is gone off of CNN, so
So what they doing? Tag teaming?
yeah, it's I mean, honestly, I don't really give a flying fart about what they're doing on the mainstream media, because they're both sides have been complicit in so many egregious things, and they're all very.
And they've been contaminated. They've been contaminated from.
It's not
just
the free
about
press.
the get-go, probably.
Yeah, it's not the free press anymore. It's government sanctioned indoctrination, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's about who got the most money media now.
Yeah, it is. And I use this as a prime example of why I don't watch either one of them anymore. Yes, this was almost a decade ago itself. But when there was that shooting in that club down in Florida, back in like 2016, that morning we skipped church and we sat and watched, and we went back and forth between these two channels. One, the one that starts with the letter F, refused, or no. Instantly they threw out the words like domestic terrorist.
Yep, exactly.
In their thing. And the C one refused to ever use that word with the shooter.
Yeah.
Refuse. And so it's creating this intentional polarization and division, very much intentionally, and they're both playing equal parts in it. So that's where I instantly, like, that